Hello, I'm Taylor Hollingsworth, and we're at Druid City Brewery in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is a song I wrote called Ava. Adored you before your mother had born you. So many things that I got to warn you. Sometimes your feet don't keep to the floor, yeah. I'll teach you everything I know, but wait a few years to use my formula. I tell you all my secrets, but don't tell your mom. Don't care to comb my hair, but I still got keys at the company building. I tell you all my deepest stuff, you swear you won't tell your friends. I'm squaring the world out there, and on Saturn I'm an alien. I can't believe it's time to carpool, yeah. We got to get you to school, yeah. Got all the kids all trying to be cool, yeah. Not everyone's gonna play by the rules there. Some might stab you back, you know, they might look nice but suck like Dracula. I tell you all my secrets, but don't tell your mom. Don't care to comb my hair, but I still got keys to the company building. I tell you all my deepest, you swear you won't tell your friends. I'm squaring the world out there, and on Saturn I'm an alien. Waving over to my neighbor. No plans to know, no plans to make favors, but no way of knowing who you'll need later. One day you might wake up and in labor. Ava, she's my little baby. Come on and let Dad play for you, sing you a song before you're a lady. And I tell you all my secrets, but don't tell your mom. Don't care to comb my hair, still got keys to the company building. I tell you all my deepest, I swear you won't tell your friends. I'm squaring the world out there, but on Saturn I'm an alien.
Welcome you to another episode of Porch Talk. As Taylor mentioned, we're in the brewing room over at Druid City Brewing, and Taylor was kind enough to give a little bit of his time before his show here tonight. And so first time I heard Taylor play, it was over at the Sunstroke House in Columbus, and I was just blown away. Him and Brad Armstrong, they shared the set that night, and big fan of music, especially when it comes from Alabama. And so tell me a little bit about growing up from Birmingham.
Yep, I am.
And so, when did you pick up the guitar, and like, what was the influence behind that?
I was born in 1980, and grew up listening to like mostly stuff that my dad liked. A lot of Tom Petty, a lot of Paul Simon, stuff like that. But being that age, right around 92, 93, the grunge, Nirvana, and all these Smashing Pumpkins and these like hard rockin' bands, they slipped into my stream somehow. So, I remember burying myself in my headphones with that stuff, in about that time. And let's see, I got a guitar when I was 14. Right after my dad had just died. I bought this super Are cuss words okay on the podcast?
Absolutely.
Before I Before I let loose, this super shitty Les Paul ripoff from a dude that lived up the street from me. It was like for $50 or something, you know.
Yeah.
And was like, I'm gonna learn to play this thing, you know. And fortunately for me, my dad was a hang glider, and the owner of the really cool guitar shop in Birmingham was also a hang glider, and he was one of my dad's best friends. So, you know, kind of to lift my spirit, me and my brother's spirits, he offered us free guitar lessons.
Wow.
You know, so he was like, called my mom and said, you know, we want to take care, you know, give them guitar lessons, you know, probably keeping our mind off of things and stuff.
What did that look like? Was it like classically trained and reading music? Or?
No, these dudes were like rockers, you know, so yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Cool for a teenager, you know.
Yeah.
So, I remember I brought that guitar in there, and the first lesson, the tuner broke off, and Don, the owner of the store, he said, you know, I think he just threw it in the garbage, the whole guitar, and he went and picked up like a different guitar, you know, still a cheap guitar, but much nicer, you know, like metal, real tuners, you know.
Yeah.
And he handed that to the guy that was teaching me the lessons, and he said, tune this guitar and give this to him. And so I could actually have a guitar that would stay in tune, you know. Yeah. And so yeah, that guy was cool, you know. I mean, we didn't, you know, the lessons lasted maybe 6 months, but like, you know, they were cool. Like, I remember he said just bring in a CD and play it for me, and he could listen to it and learn it, and then he would show me, you know, and he would write the tablature out.
So at this time it was Smashing Pumpkins and
yeah, I remember learning Cherub Rock and It Smells Like Teen Spirit, you know, stuff like that. You know, rock chord,
yeah,
shit. And then and he taught me the pentatonic scale.
That opened up everything.
And that opened up a lot, yeah. And then I got real into blues for some reason, real quick.
Muddy Waters or?
No, nothing that cool. You know, more like Jimi Hendrix, and you know, I mean, I'm not saying Jimi Hendrix isn't cool, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I didn't know the real stuff yet. I mean, that was much later. You know, but Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. But you know, I was quick to pick up on, these bands all like the blues, so I should learn that. You know, so I learned the 1-4-5. You know, progression, and I had a group of friends, and we all learned that, and we would sit there and just smoke pot and take acid and stuff and like play every day after school for hours, you know, hours and hours and hours, literally every single day, and just the same 1-4-5 over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned to play. I mean, I would fit those scales in on top of the chords, and like I would do a measure, and then then I would take the rhythm, and my friend would do the lead. You know, we would just pass it around in circles.
Right.
Everybody holding down the rhythm together, and one dude doing lead, and we would just go in circles, and we never stopped. I mean, we just never stopped. I mean, you know, we might learn a few other kind of songs, but they were all 1-4-5s. You know,
yeah.
And that's what I tell people. If you want to learn how to play, that's the way to learn, man. Because like, you just get it that way. You know, after a little while, it just connects. You know, and you learn it. So yeah, that's.
I remember when I was learning, I had a similar guitar teacher like you were talking about. He's just an old rocker.
Yeah.
And like I had a month of classical training, and I hated that, so I quit.
Yeah.
Then I found him a few years down the road, and like right when he taught me the pentatonic scale, it was like everything opened up.
Yeah.
That changed everything, especially like where I was at. It's kind of the same time period. Heavy in the blues.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a lot of the roots for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to college for 1 year at Montevallo.
Okay.
And
what was you looking for up there? Just
my mom just really wanted me to go to college, so I gave her a year, and then I ended up in so many bands. I was like, Mom, I'm literally driving to Birmingham daily to practice in these bands. And pretty quickly I got into some very established bands, you know.
Yeah, let's go over some of that, because just some of your history. We had Dixie Teens, and that's not even the start of it, though, right?
No, it started with this band. They were called Flair. I met them. I worked at this little bagel shop, you know, when I was 16, until I was like 19 probably, or 20 or something. And these guys, they were a little older than me, and like one of them had like dyed black hair, like super kind of like in his face, and the other dude had this short buzz cut, and they were kind of like they were like really into the Replacements and these kind of punk bands from the 80s, or you know, and they taught me a whole lot about music, and they actually introduced me to Verbena and the Dexatines. They introduced me to all these cool local bands, and they asked me to join their band, so I was in their band for a little bit, and then their band broke up, and then from there, that, you know, one of the guys from Verbena came to one of the shows, and then he was like, hey, you need to play in my band. So then I played in his band called Cutgrass, and that was with Matt Patton, you know, and this guy Zach Evans and Duquette Johnston.
So was this before Drive-By?
Before Matt was in Drive-By, for sure. Yeah, Drive-By existed at this time. They've been around forever, but this was probably the year 2000.
Okay.
You know, I was about 20 years old, I think. Maybe 21. It could have been 2001. And immediately then Verbena, the guy that had this band had been kicked out of Verbena or whatever, or left or something, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then Verbena actually kind of stole me from him. So then I joined Verbena, which I had to say yes to, because, you know, these guys at the time were on Capitol Records. I mean, they were doing big stuff, you know, in my mind, you know. For a young kid from Alabama, you know, I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Big deal.
Yeah, so, you know, they flew me out to Los Angeles, and, you know, you're meeting movie stars and stuff, and you're 21, you know, that's pretty cool. So that didn't last long. I quit the band, or I sort of got fired / quit also. You know, we just kind of started to not get along. Basically, once I realized I was just there to, like, fill out their sound, you know, but I had zero creative input at all, you know. And at that time, I was starting to gain a little bit of my own head, you know, like, you know, I want to do cool stuff. And, you know, I realized, like, okay, you know, it's not really, I've always been very, like, anti doing something just for the success of it or for how it appears on the outside. You know, like, it looked really big to all my friends and everybody, you know, but the truth is when I was in that situation, I felt like just a runt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I kind of stopped. I didn't go to these band practices, and then they got mad that I didn't show up and that I wasn't kissing ass to be there. Like, I'm lucky to be there, you know, which I was, but, you know. So anyway, that ended. And then the Dexatines asked me to play. And we got along great. You know, we were super fast buddies.
Did you know Brad before that?
Well, Brad wasn't in the Dexatines until way later. At this time, the Dexatines was Elliot, John Smith, Matt Patton, and Sweet Dog. And they brought me in because John was actually about to move to Ohio. And they were like, this would be a great guy to replace John Smith on guitar. You know, he's this great lead guitar player. Mm-hmm. So they were like, you know, which I was not anywhere close to filling his shoes. That guy's an amazing guitar player. And certainly at the time, I was not on that level. But I was winging it. You know what I mean? I knew the scale. I knew the pentatonic scales, and I knew how to go, you know, and we all liked rock and roll, and we bonded, and I stayed in that band for a little while. Like, they took me to overseas for the first time and around the Southeast, So I was still getting more experience with them. And
did it feel more successful than the Capitol Records band?
No, not at the time. We were still very small, the Dancin Teens, but we did manage to go overseas, which was cool. But Verbena had a real big push for a little while at that time. But being in the Dancin Teen, I mean, it was cooler though. It felt cooler,
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the band more. As far as the music, like. I loved early Verbena. I was a huge fan as a teenager, but the direction they were going in was not what I was really into.
Mm-hmm.
It was influencing me, but I realized once I started playing with people like the Dancin Teens that it wasn't where my heart was at. So from there, the same kind of thing happened. I was recording my own songs on a 4-track, and I realized. I need to do my own thing. So I actually left the Dancin Teens to have a solo band. And that was my first kind of solo thing I did. And I ended up doing pretty well, for starting off, young dude. I did manage to get a, small record deal, but, they had money, and I got a booking agent, and we toured. We started to tour a lot. So that took me up to about 2006 or so.
Okay. Now, was that those early Taylor Hollingsworth? Did you put it out under your name?
The first couple ones were the first 2 things I did were Taylor and the Puffs, but it was still all me recording them. I think Macy at that time did play on a couple tracks. And then when I got signed to that label, they really encouraged me, and the manager thought I should be Taylor Hollingsworth, just solo, that way I would be free to sort of, if people drop off or quit, I don't have to start a band over, change a name, and that made a lot of sense to me because through my time, through those years, I had seen so many people fall out of bands or in my band, and so many times people are like, well, you got to change the name, and you really can't, I get that respect or whatever of like, well, this band had to be these people and you got to change the name if this guy's not there, but you really can't build a longevity because every band there's somebody falling out and quitting or whatever. Like you have to have a name that you can move with through the years. You really have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it if you're Led Zeppelin and you're the same 4 people for 10 years and you do all this shit together, and then somebody quits, sure. But if you haven't even put out one record or done anything, then that doesn't count. Like you can still use the name if you're the main songwriter and the one who's doing all the fucking work. So but anyway, I was like, I'll use my name, there will be no issue, everybody will know this is my thing. I'm doing all the work, I'm try to take care of everybody the best I can. If people stick with me, I'm going to show them as much support and give them back what they give me, But, I did want to write the songs and I wanted to do the thing, so.
Yeah. To fast forward a little bit, Life of a Slow Ear. So what part in the timeline was that? Is that after a couple of other bands?
That was after, kind of after all that rock and roll stuff, my whole train stopped. I made a weird album the label didn't want to put out. I told them to take it or leave it. They left it. The booking agent dropped me because I let go of my record deal. And then Connor Oberst asked me to play with him. So that's when I started playing with him. And then that was some crazy world touring. That was some serious stuff. So that was, called Connor Oberst and the Mystic Valley Band, and that lasted about 2 years. We did everything you could do with that. Ended up making a whole nother record. That ended up being 2 records and 2 tours. So that finally came to an end, and I was home back. And I had written these acoustic-y songs while I had been touring. Mm-hmm. So that was when I was like, all right, I'm going to make another solo record, So I went to my friends in Athens, Georgia, Andy LeMaster's studio, who I'd met through that whole world. I'd met Andy I'd known him a long time at this point, but we made that album. And then Connor at the time had part ownership of this record label called Team Love, and he put that record out on his label. So we did minimal touring with that, not very much, couldn't get much going with that thing. And then I got married. Me and my wife, now wife, at the time girlfriend, we started a band called Dead Fingers.
Right.
And that ended up, Bruce Watson and did a record on Fat Possum, or his label called Big Legal Mess, sort of part Fat Possum, part Big Legal Mess. And they put out the first record, and then we did a second record with that. But right around then, we had a baby, so we pretty much cut the touring to zilch.
Yeah.
And once I had the baby, I changed my way. I started just playing local, Alabama, around Birmingham. What I used to joke around and say, I called them dad gigs.
Yeah.
I did all the fun stuff, and now I'm doing dad gigs.
Yeah.
The guys that I watched when I was a kid, who played around at the bars.
Yeah.
So I got into playing around at the bars, and
it's a good town to be in. Like Birmingham, I would probably say is probably, as far as venues, is maybe the biggest place in Bama.
it is in Alabama. Yeah, it is.
Maybe second would be Mobile or Florence. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Saturn and Avondale Brewing. I mean, there's tons of venues.
Oh yeah, I've played all of them.
Man, the festival you played, the Secret Show.
Secret Stages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that was insane because Faye Webster, she was at the Sunstroke the night after.
I saw her set. Yeah.
She was telling me a little bit about it, and I was talking to her still slide guitarist, and he happened to be a fan of yours.
Oh really?
And, I was like, "Did you catch Taylor while you were out there?" He's like, "Taylor Hollingsworth was out there." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Wish I would have known that." He said, "I had no idea." He said, "The way it was set up was weird." He said, "There were 3 stages all over the place, kind of."
Yeah.
And he's like, "If you were in it, the way it was organized," he said, "you really didn't have a whole lot of time." It seemed like. He said, felt everything was rushed.
Yeah, maybe so, and probably more so if you're not from Birmingham. I mean, me being local, I had been seeing the promotion for it for so long that I knew they were playing, and I went to their show actually. Faye Webster's show was really great. It was actually it was my favorite show that I saw at Secret Stages for sure. And I'd been hearing all about her, but the show was fucking great. But anyway, yeah, we were actually just right across the street from them, and we were right after too. We were in a smaller venue, but we were I want to say 30 minutes after them or something.
Yeah.
And we closed down the little smaller room over there. But yeah, we had a great show. A lot of good turnout. It was nice.
And so now with Dancin Daddy, the latest album, talking a little bit about that. Yeah.
So that's
how did you meet Maria Taylor and Flower Moon?
Oh, I've known Maria forever. She's her sister is my wife. Kate, who I did Dead Fingers with. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were sisters. Maria's her sister. Yeah. Oh. And so that's me and Kate formed our whole relationship I used to play in Maria's band. I played guitar.
Azure?
Not Azure, her solo tours back in probably 06, 07 maybe.
Okay.
Maybe even maybe in some 05. Time back then was very warped. But Yeah, like I played guitar on several of her tours, and then Kate played keys, and we sort of ended up dating through all that over the years. But yeah, Marie and that whole crowd. I mean, I've known them since I was 20, 21.
Okay.
I mean, that's a Birmingham crowd. So
Yeah, I noticed that even though it's based out there in California.
well, now they live there. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like I look at the people who's recorded there. I was like, they're all Birmingham people for the most part.
Yeah, Lewis. Yeah, Louis Schifano. He's a Birmingham guy.
Yeah.
And he's got a crazy musical history as far as Birmingham bands. I mean, he was one of the original Remy Zero members. He was in Verbena before the very early form of Verbena. And then he did his album called Regia, which if you haven't heard that, it's amazing. It came out.
Opposite Side of the World was the first thing I'd grabbed by him.
Yeah, this came out 20 years ago. I mean, a long time ago. Great, fantastic record, but even for now, I mean, it still stands. It's great. So yeah, I mean, known all those people forever.
That's gonna be good. Lewis is gonna be on the show, so that's good little.
Is he? Oh yeah.
That's a good little background for him.
I love
to ask him about it.
I love Lewis. I told somebody recently. I said he's kind of like my weird cousin.
And so back around with Dead Fingers, and so you and Kate started playing. Do y'all still play a little bit out in Birmingham?
Not much, but I mean we do from time to time. We'll do a show. I mean the thing is we started the band so we could be together more. At the time I was touring so much before that that I kept having to leave her. Or then she even was doing tours with Maria, and she'd leave me.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just both touring in different bands.
Right.
And we were like, we need to have our own band so we can tour together.
Yeah.
And we did it, and then we had a kid.
Yeah.
And then
it's kind of
you can't do it anymore. Yeah. One of you's got to be with the kid. Home. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm back to making solo records. We actually have a Dead Fingers record all recorded and done. It's just sitting there.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something with it one of these days. But
and so just back to Dancin Daddy, man. Like I said, I picked you up when I heard you at Sunstroke, and then a couple months down the road, the release for Dancin Daddy's coming out. I was like, shit, this is like Christmas, and totally different from previous work. Because Life of a Slow Ear, it was more acoustic.
Yeah.
And this has got a lot more electric guitar, man. It's a hell of an album. I've thoroughly enjoyed the damn thing. And even Hop In and I'm Still a Kid.
Yeah.
Even those tracks, I was like, hell yeah. Come on with it. Got the kazoo going?
Yeah. Yep. That's all stuff, I've been kind of tinkering around with and doing these bar shows. It's like, that's the kind of stuff I've been doing. Like, I still play all originals. I don't think all the places know,
Yeah.
A lot of them, it's like cover band place. We'll play 3 hours, take a break in the middle, or background music. But I'm just working on the originals the whole time,
Yeah.
So most of those songs are stuff that I've been writing for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you listen to all my old albums, to me, Dancin Daddy is like a mixture of more current mixed with the old stuff, because it is lo-fi. I recorded it back at my house again. I just like taking my time. I don't mind sacrificing a little hi-fi quality. To me, a lot of my friends who I really trust, they've all, over the years, they all tell me that they like my stuff that I do at my house the best.
Yeah.
Even the lo-fi old stuff, it's always their favorite stuff, And I agree with them, I always felt the same way. So, I just finally got to where, like, I'm done trying to fucking do this. I never sell enough records to pay off these budgets for these studios, and for me it's just like, just record shit at my house and do it whenever I feel like it, in the middle of the night, my kids asleep, you know.
Yeah, whenever's good.
Yeah.
Whenever you can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my thing now.
So I think you've answered it, man. I wanted to ask you about the song Westphalia. Does that go back to those days of tripping acid and passing that guitar around in the circle?
It does.
Because I wanted to ask you about the story behind that, because I was like, it felt like a real thing.
It does. So when my dad died, he left me his Westphalia. That was his vehicle.
Yeah.
You know, it was a 1978 old VW camper van. It had the pop-up top and the sink in it and the stove, all that shit. It was smashed in the front because right before he died, he got in this wreck, and it sat there and rusted for fucking 2 years. You know, when I was 14 to when I was 16. But when I turned 16, that was my car. You know, I didn't have another option.
Yeah.
So my uncle came and got it running for me, and I drove that around for that whole year until it just died after a year.
Props to your uncle, man. They're hard to work on.
Yeah.
Munson has one when we do the pop-up shows at the art festivals. If they'll allow it, we'll do a pop-up out of the Westphalia.
Yeah.
And same setup. It's got the sink. It's got the pop-up roof. And so, like, immediate connection when I saw Westphalia. I was like, oh, I know all about this shit.
Oh, I grew up in it, man. My dad, you know, that was what we did. On the hang gliding trips. You know, he'd throw the hang glider on the roof, and we'd take it to the mountain, and then he'd hang glide, and we'd pop the tent, and we'd camp for the whole weekend. You know, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That's what we did. A lot of weekends. So, but yeah, when I was 16, we really were selling acid out of that thing. me and my crew, me and my dumbass bunch of friends. Can't believe we never. I got arrested once for weed, and I can't believe we never got caught with all the shit we had. You know?
Right.
We were just idiots asking for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember driving around in that thing with literally 5 sheets of acid and hitting bongs while we're driving. You know, just idiots.
Yeah.
You know, just as dumb as you can be.
Oh, yeah. I've done it myself.
And
man.
we didn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Didn't matter.
We were all just misfits. You know, that whole crew had horrible, you know, their home life was fucked up, you know, and we just all clung to each other, you know.
Yeah.
And it lasted for, you know, I'm still friends with a lot of those guys, actually. We still keep up.
And so I guess the story I would ask off of Tap Dancin Daddy would be, I think it would be track 1, Devil and Me. Like some of those, you done it on Life of a Slow Ear as well. I want to say it was.
I didn't know it was the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like those two, like that was the single that you dropped.
Yeah.
On Tap Dancin Daddy. But like,
Yeah.
I like those songs.
Yeah.
So where's that come out of? Is that a blues influence thing, or where's that come from?
The devil to me is honestly it's drugs. You know, it's the desire or the need for drugs. There was a period in my 20s when I had a bad, you know, I mean, there's been several. I've battled with, you know, not on crazy levels, you know, and a lot of people probably don't know, but I've had moments where I've really battled with addictions, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think to me the devil is, you know, I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe in a devil, you know, but, you know, the devil to me is
drugs.
Is just it could be anything, but it's your own weakness, or it's your own the little man on your shoulder that, you know what I mean, telling you giving you that desire to do what you know you shouldn't do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that craving can get really big, especially if you're filling up, you know, holes in your life, you know, and you know, when I lost my mom not long, you know, 10 years after my dad, and you know, that was when a lot of that music stuff was happening, and I was really spinning out. I had a lot of like things going on, you know, and I had you know, The Devil and Me, I actually wrote more about a friend of mine who we both were doing stuff together. We were doing drugs together, but he really had a way worse problem than me. he never had anything else in his life, to pull him out or to keep him focused. I always had music. You know what I mean? Like when I would always be able to pull myself and say, you're taking this too far, and you're not getting what you need to be doing done, because music's work. I mean, you have to work. And I always did have a stronger passion to like get the job done, write songs, make the records, then play with people. And he had none of that. His goal in life was to wake up, score, and that was it. Every day, and he died. And he was actually one of my old friends. We met when we were probably 7 years old, and he died when I was 31 probably. But that song was when I was watching him, kind of go down. But
okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Happier notes.
Yeah.
Future of touring. What's that look like? Where can people grab you for maybe the remainder of the year, if you can give that info?
Yeah, we got. I'm doing like an acoustic show in Oxford. I'm doing. We got. Let's see. Obviously tonight. I'm looking right now at some dates up north. Might try to do like a New York show or. Maybe some Ohio. I definitely have a Nashville show coming up at Dee's Country Lounge. Let's see, what else do I have? Athens, Georgia, Atlanta. Working on an Atlanta show right now. Yeah, that's all I can think of at the moment. But working on stuff. Yeah. Tough to get out. I mean, I am. It's tough for me to leave my wife with the kid and be like, hey, you got to do everything. Yeah. Because it's hard, So trying to only do it when it's really worth it, But right. I am trying to also support the record and the labels tried really hard to put it out, so I appreciate their work and I want to do my job too. So
to get it out.
Yeah.
Anything else to add or subtract?
Man.
Anything you want to touch on?
I don't know, just I'm out here. Check it out. And doing my thing.
I'm checking it out for the second time, and it ain't let me down yet, so I approve that message.
Yeah.
Well, brother, it's been another episode of Porch Talk. Taylor, thank you so much for taking the time, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah. News and notes. Just want to thank Bo and all the folks out at Druid City Brewing for hosting and allowing us to record a podcast episode there. And about Druid City, it's a hell of a music venue. They get a lot of good music passing through, and they ain't let me down yet in that regard. And it's got damn good beer if you're into that kind of thing. Lamplighter is usually what I go with. I'm an IPA guy, but that porter is no slouch. That's a 2-time award-winning beer, and you can do a half and half with those two, and that'll put you in some kind of a spot. So thank you, Bo, and everybody at Druid City. So after the show, I called Taylor. I noticed that he had brought some of his other work. He had Bad Little Kitty and Taylor and the Puffs. He brought the Dead Finger album. And I've got the Dead Finger on vinyl, but I didn't have the CD copy of it. So I grabbed that along with Taylor and the Puffs and Bad Little Kitty. And, man, I've been enjoying Bad Little Kitty. If you ain't heard that, and Taylor said on the episode earlier that Dancin Daddy was kind of over the all, it was fairly reflective of all the work that he's done in the past, and he would be the guy to know, and he was right. I've really enjoyed Bad Little Kitty. And so I'm going to play the title track off of Taylor's latest Dancin Daddy. And if you're unfamiliar with Flower Moon, Maria Taylor, Louis Schifano, and some of the folks that are out there at Flower Moon, look them up. They got a lot of great things going on out that way. So we're going to close this thing out with Dancin Daddy. Peace out.
$1 down. He said, can I hear that song you sing in that band? So I tap my feet till this gravity it bounds. It beats me to the ground. I never wanna let you down, so I keep having to repeat this sound. I never wanna let you down. I only want you to know. Tap Dancin Daddy plays another show. When they mop the floors, pack it up and split the door, and everyone else goes home to sleep. That's when bad habits form. Wait up for another score. Tap Dancin Daddy can't turn off his feet without it. So I tap my feet till this gravity it bounds. It beats me to the ground. I never wanna let you down, so I keep having to repeat this sound. I never wanna let you down. I only want you to know. Tap Dancin Daddy plays another show. Wake up to another morn. Brush your teeth and out the door. Tap Dancin Daddy got to hit the streets again. So I tap my feet till this gravity it pounds. It beats me to the ground. I never wanna let you down, so I keep having to repeat this sound. I never wanna let you down. I only want you to know. Tap Dancin Daddy plays another show. Tap Dancin Daddy plays another